The way the Empire runs has always been a bit of a mystery, but with the Bad Batch, we're seeing that mystery stripped away. How does that change Star Wars? Welcome to Star Wars Uplink. Bad Batch Season 3 is nearing its end, and as we get closer to that end, we are not just hurtling, we are speeding towards some really big revelations when we look at Star Wars as a whole. We've got a deeper exploration into how the clones are impacting and impacted by the Empire and its growing move towards stormtroopers, and the clones' place in the galaxy. And also we have a deepening piece in terms of how the Empire structure is viewed in the galaxy. Not just how the day-to-day activities are done, but generally how everything pieces together, really.
We're getting this really interesting view because this isn't late stage Empire. This is still kind of
very fresh,
early,
very new.
Still in its ever rise to power. Yeah, we're getting this really interesting look at kind of their first attempts at control and just their, like, kind of the stages of, like, just control, really.
Yeah, the galaxy is becoming more aware of the Empire's reach and control over every bit of it. Now, in the past, we saw the Republic's viewpoints and then the Separatist viewpoints when we look at the prequel era and then the Clone Wars TV show. But now that that is done for, now that that is a bit of the past, Emperor Palpatine is taking the viewpoints that the Republic and the Separatist had previously been all about and merging them together into this new realm, but utilizing the fear that was built up during that previous war to gain even more power. And I think that's ultimately what the Empire and Palpatine's views are. While it is very multifaceted, it's all about control.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. I love this reoccurring theme that we're seeing with Palpatine specifically, where it's, you get this ever expanding feeling that he had his fingers in absolutely everyone's pie.
Yes.
Like, there was no little, like, he agreed with everything. Like, everything was kind of a part of his plan. Because now he's the face of it. He's able to mesh it all together and be like, yes, this is what I actually wanted it to become, sort of thing.
Yeah, and as we see in the first season of Bad Batch, we had Palpatine trying to get rid of the clone program so he could focus specifically on his needs for the clone program. And then in season 2, when his plans for the clone program changed, and with like Senator Chuchi and Rex and their specific plan in the galaxy to give more of a voice to the clones, when that took place, Palpatine again adapted to make it benefit him.
Of course. So
no matter what happens, there is this underlying really structure to the Empire where Palpatine is going to utilize every single bit of anything that is a part of the Empire to gain more control. And we're seeing this different viewpoint. Now that we've got the research facility of Tantus there, we're seeing the cutting edge of what is possible and how it's going to help Palpatine in the long run, all the way up to and through the sequel trilogy we're going to see bits and pieces of. And now also we're going to see the different levels. So if you wrong the Empire, you're going to go to basically a labor camp where you will be utilized to do something that is going to make the Empire more powerful. We saw this with Andor, where they're building pieces to the Death Star.
Yeah.
And that is happening all across the galaxy, very spread out, so it isn't noticeable.
And this kind of goes for any kind of offenders, it seems. They're not very...
well, it's free labor.
Yeah.
And it's very easily acquired free labor.
And manageable in a sense.
Yeah.
I mean, our heroes are always going in and breaking people out, but it seems fairly manageable.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're seeing these The labor camps are really an interesting thing, and I think it's just so it's so like base punishment in a way.
Well, it's showing the Empire as what it is, a fascist government group.
Yeah.
Like this whole structure there is that. And that's another piece of how that power is built and maintained.
Yeah. It's kind of key to everything that they need. Like they need this so much work, especially for these giant projects that they keep having.
And if the labor is dispersed, you're going to have less of an idea of what's actually getting done.
Right.
And I think that's what Bad Batch is so good at, is exploring these different themes, but having this underlying structure of like, the Empire is doing this in this specific era of Star Wars. We're getting a deeper understanding of what makes the Empire run, what makes it successful, and also just showcasing what will eventually fail with the Empire, because that's another big piece. Like with all of this, we know that they're going to fail, and with stuff like Andor, with stuff like Bad Batch, we're getting another layer of cracks in the foundation.
Yeah.
But that foundation is still getting built.
Right. I think it just goes to show for like any kind of structured government sort of thing, like there's going to be flaws.
Oh yeah.
And
anytime people are involved.
Yeah. Following the quote unquote good guys it just shows how things are flawed and will fall apart, and it's great. It's a good time.
I just really thought it was fascinating that they would have this very integral part to the Empire, which we all assumed was there, in such of a big focus for the show. And like, this is an animated Star Wars project that just showcased how the Empire is built on literal slave labor.
Yeah.
Which I think is so interesting to look at when we look at the broader scopes of the galaxy. Like, this isn't just one instance of it. This is happening all over the Star Wars galaxy. And this is something that makes the Empire so much more real and so much more intimidating than a lot of other things. I think with a lot of Star Wars, and it goes all the way from like the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy, basically the only thing that actually has made the Empire feared is like Bad Batch and Andor. I think Andor did a really good job with this, like making the Empire feared, scary, and also makes you as a viewer understand like why everyone's trying to fight against them.
And also just the overwhelming emotional like connection that you would have with the Empire and feeling like so small.
Yes.
There's this that it just feels so untouchable. And I think that's a really good key to Star Wars right now, is having Andor there for us all to remember, like
it's the anchor point.
Yeah, like no, this is, if you were real people in Star Wars, like this would be really, really hard to get your head around, to be like, no, we're gonna go against these people. Okay.
Yeah. And then you have the Bad Batch being like, actually, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. I know a guy who can get us in there, and we could just get in there. And
basically, Bad Batch and all animated Star Wars was, hey, we need this thing. Yeah, I don't know how to get that thing, but I know someone who does know how to get that thing.
And you know what the answer to all our plans is? Improvising.
Yes, definitely.
Although they went in with a lot more of a plan than I expected them to.
Yes, definitely. But let us know your thoughts on this idea of the Empire. Do you think that this is something that we're going to continue to see as we dive deeper into something like Tales of the Empire? Let us know in the comments below. Check out our podcast, and as always, may the Force be with you.